tend to be the ones that people mix up the most because they're one right on top of the other. This is the only model on the left side that you can see the sternothyroid. Otherwise, if it's a muscle right in the front that looks like it's running from the thyroid or the hyoid to the sternum, it's the sternohyoid. Okay? Lots of new names. Everybody's eyes are like already just not happy. All right, so then we have our trunk muscles. So we're going to start with the pectoralis major and pectoralis minor. These are the pectoralis majors. And then on these two models, you can see pectoralis minor. This is the pectoralis minor. And then if you look at this model after, you'll see a pectoralis minor on this one as well. Okay? Pectoralis minor is deep to the major, so the major has to be removed for you to see that pectoralis minor. And then we have serratus anterior and serratus posterior. What does a serrated knife edge look like? Is it smooth or is it kind of jagged?
Jagged.
It's jagged, right? Serrations means that it's a jagged edge. So serratus anterior is going to be these muscles that look like serrations. Okay. So serratus anterior, it looks like the edge of a serrated knife. Serratus posterior is similar, but it is deep and it is posterior. These are the serratus posterior. Okay? Serratus posterior are not like the bottom edges of the serratus anterior. The serratus posterior are deep and entirely on the back side. So these are the serratus posterior. Okay? And then you have the deltoid. Deltoid means triangle. This is your triangle muscle, is your shoulder muscle. So this is your deltoid. Okay? And then we have internal intercostals, external intercostals, and the diaphragm. For internal and external intercostals, if you take these apart, please put them back at the end of class. Intercostals means they are in between the ribs. This one is a good one that shows you the internal intercostals and then the external intercostals. Basically, their fibers are going to run in different directions. If you're looking at a different model, like this one, this just has the internal intercostals that you can see on the inside. The external intercostals, you would have to cut and reflect muscles, so this one doesn't show the externals. Does that make sense? Internal only on this one. On this one, you can see internal versus external, and you can even do the external, and then if you flip it, you can see internal. Okay? So this has the internal and external intercostals. For the diaphragm, this is the diaphragm for this model. It comes out, so it's like almost always out of the model for some reason. For these guys, this number 104 right here, this is your diaphragm. Okay? The diaphragm is the separation between the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. So it's going to be above the liver and the stomach and below the heart and the lungs. This muscle right here is the diaphragm. The diaphragm is very important because it is your prime mover for inhalation. So without your diaphragm, you cannot breathe, which is why we're saying that muscular dystrophy is going to eventually cause respiratory arrest for somebody. And that's typically how they die in their 20s, because this is made of skeletal muscle, and when it stops working, they're not going to be able to breathe. Okay? For the next three are the muscles of the abdominal wall. These are your external obliques, internal obliques, and then the rectus abdominis. A lot of the muscle names, and we'll go over this on Monday when we do chapter 10, the names are going to tell you a lot about the muscle. So don't just think that they have some random name. Find a way that the name tells you what you're looking at. Oblique means that it is an angle that is not at 90 degrees, okay? So when you're looking, you have external and internal obliques, and their fibers are going to run at different directions. So remember that this side is superficial and this side is deep. So this side is going to be your external obliques, and then this side can be your internal obliques, because you can see that their fibers are not running in the same direction, right? So external obliques and internal obliques. Rectus abdominis means that it is erect. The fibers go straight up and down, and these are of the abdomen. So basically what would make your six-pack is your rectus abdominis. And also, with how the connective tissue is, people will have a six-pack. At the most, if they have like really clear definition, there might be a slight pinch here and it might look like they have an eight-pack, but these are actually only 6 muscles in the grouping. So if somebody's like, oh my god, I have a 10-pack, you can be like, you're a liar, because that's legitimately not anatomically correct for your body. You can't. You're painting that on. That's just fake. Okay. All right, and then we have the last one is the transversus abdominis. To transverse something means to cross it, right? So if you're crossing the abdomen, that's on the inside here, and you have a muscle that goes straight across. This is the rectus abdominis. Or not rectus abdominis, transversus abdominis. I'm getting tripped up on names now because I'm going too fast. Transversus abdominis. Okay. All right, so then we are going to have the trunk muscles. For the trunk muscles, we start with the trapezius. The trapezius is a huge muscle. It is actually a group of muscles, but we don't have you learn each individual one that makes up this huge muscle. We just have you learn the whole thing as one muscle. The trapezius goes from the occipital bone, it goes to the point of the shoulder, and then it goes all the way down the spine. So this huge triangle here, all of this is the trapezius, okay? The trapezius is not just this one or this one or this one. It's a group of muscles that all makes up this huge trapezius muscle.
How should we point to that in our photo?
It's up to you.
To one or
a good idea for like bigger muscles like this is after you print the picture to take a Sharpie and just outline the actual muscle, so that no matter where I put the sticker on this, you know that this whole thing is the trapezius. Okay? So same thing on this guy. You've got this huge triangle of a muscle, and that is the trapezius. Huge triangle of a muscle. Okay? So then after the trapezius, you have one of my favorite ones, just because I like saying it, which is the latissimus dorsi, or your lats. The latissimus dorsi is going to be this muscle here that is also huge and massive. So this is your latissimus dorsi. These muscles are so large because these are very, very important for posture, for maintaining an upright position. So these muscles are very large and they're very powerful. The latissimus dorsi is an interesting one because its insertion, it kind of goes up into the armpit here, and it's actually going to go up onto the humerus. And on the outside of the humerus, you have your greater tubercle and your lesser tubercle, and then the intertrochanteric line in between them. It inserts onto that intertrochanteric line. That's why when you do like an arm bar and you're pulling the bar down, it will work this muscle even though you're using your arms because of where that muscle inserts. Okay? So this is your latissimus dorsi. Okay? On this model, this huge muscle here is the latissimus dorsi. Okay? Then we have some arm and shoulder muscles, and then we have to go back over here, all of the ways. So for the next ones, you have the infraspinatus, subscapularis, and coracobrachialis, and teres minor and teres major, and supraspinatus. For the spinatus muscles, they're named for the fossas that they're found in. So if you know the scapula, you know that the scapula has a subscapularis fossa, it has a infraspinatus fossa, and then it has a supraspinatus fossa. This is the spine of the scapula. Infraspinatus means below the spine. Supraspinatus means above the spine. Okay? So this is the spine of your scapula. This is your supraspinatus muscle. This is your infraspinatus muscle. Okay? So this whole thing is your infraspinatus muscle. Subscapularis would be in the subscapular fossa. So this is your subscapularis. Okay? Teres minor and major are here and here. Which one is below, major or minor? Major. So this is the teres major and this is the teres minor. Okay? So teres minor, teres major, minor, major, or supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis. Okay? And then you have a muscle on here that is called the coracobrachialis. The coracobrachialis goes from the coracoid process to the brachia. What does brachia mean? It means arm. What bone is your arm? The humerus. So the humerus is your arm. That means that it goes from the coracoid process of the scapula to the humerus. Okay? So you have in here is the coracobrachialis right here. The arm muscles are going to start to get confusing. I'll point out everything else as we get to the other muscles as well. Okay, so this is the coracobrachialis. Okay, so then we have the muscles on this model to go over again now. You have this muscle here that runs to the scapula. It is right behind your three scalenes. This is your levator scapulae. And then you also have rhomboid major and minor. These are diamond shaped. So if you look at these two, they make like a diamond shape. Minor, major. Okay? Rhomboid minor, rhomboid major. And then you have the erector spinae muscles. The erector spinae muscles are a group of 3 muscles. We typically don't have you guys memorize all 3 of those muscles. Instead, we just call them the erector spinae group. They are going to run right along the spine here, and they're deep. So this and this are the only spots that I can tag the erector spinae group. Okay. So now we're going on to the arm. Are you guys ready? Do we want to